Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about therapy and my experience with therapy, right? Okay, right before I get into the video. So last week I did a live on Instagram based on the book that I reviewed, which was The 5 a.m. Club. And it was really nice, okay? I had a conversation with Anati, and I also had a conversation with Melissa. Shout out Melissa. And it was really fun, you know, there were other people in the comment section and everything. And after that live, I was like, oh my goodness, why don't I make this a thing? You know, like after either a book or a topical video like today's video, CNZ live. But that will depend on whether or not you guys would be interested in that. Like, would you guys actually join the lives and everything? So please do comment down below and let me know. If you're too shy to comment, you can always DM me or send me a WhatsApp message. Anyways, back to today's video. So, therapy. Right, so I started therapy last year after my break. Why did I want to go to therapy? First of all, I've always wanted to go to therapy just because I really believe that therapy does good or would do good for anybody. It helps you work through your micro traumas and just helps you understand yourself. You know, it elevates your self-awareness, and when your self-awareness is elevated, your relationships become more quality. You know, you're able to have more quality relationships, friendships, family, romantic, what have we. So I've just always wanted, you know, to do therapy. And then secondly, it was also because I was facing a life crisis. Okay, last year was a life crisis. And I was just like, I wanted to take those few months to pour into myself, and part of pouring into myself was to do therapy because I just wanted to get to know myself more deeply. So that's why I decided to join therapy. Now, the first thing I want to talk about are the costs. Guys, the saddest thing for me has to be the fact that therapy is so costly and that therapy is not openly, you know, or readily available to most people, right? I am fortunate enough to be covered, like to have medical aid cover. But like, even so, even with medical aid cover, therapy is almost not affordable. Okay, like it's literally almost not affordable. I remember I was looking at the rates of the therapists in my area, Margate, and let me tell you, there aren't too many, as you can imagine. So I was looking at the rates and I'm like, oh my goodness, like if I'm gonna do therapy, like have a therapy session once a week, I'm gonna spend 2 to 3K a month on therapy, sometimes even more. And I was like, I definitely cannot afford that. Now, let me explain the medical aid part. The medical aid part, how it works is that a percentage of my mom's premiums, or the premiums that she pays, are put into the savings account situation. And then that lump sum is then used for all out of hospital billings. Okay, all out of hospital billings for both my mother, my brother, and I. So these will be your GP visits, your gynae if you have a gynae, your dentist, your optometrist, whatever needs that are out of hospital, okay? And so what this means is that you have to kind of be preservative with Langnoa because it's supposed to last you the entire year. And if I'm gonna use it on therapy that costs 2 to 3K a month or more, I'm gonna finish Langnoa before we get to June, okay? So I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. However, what did help was that we were towards the end of the year, because I think I started September, October, I can't remember. We were towards the end of the year, and so I was able to tap into that account, knowing that we only have like 3 months left in the year, and most of it hadn't been used because we didn't get too sick last year. Anyways, my point being, for this year, I can't just hop back into therapy. We're still at the beginning of the year. We don't know what's gonna happen. We've gotta be preservative with Langnoa. And it's yeah, that part is really, I mean, granted, I am in a position of privilege because I at least have that option, right? But then in general, it's really not affordable, and it's so sad because it is it's something that could really, really greatly affect our quality of life. But the other great thing is that if you are a student, there are therapists available that the university makes available to the students. I've never tried, but I do have friends who have, and that worked perfectly for them. So there's that option. Right, so expectations versus reality. I think for me, the biggest misconception that I had in my head, right, was that I thought it was going to be very easy to open up, right? Because in my head, I know that this person is a professional, this person is trained, this person, does this for a living, and this person will receive my truth in the right way, if that makes sense, right? So I was like, oh yeah, therapy, I'm gonna be open and honest, and I'm not gonna be scared to be open. I'm not gonna think about my answers first. Ciao. Let me tell you, that was so difficult, and let me tell you why. It's because my therapist was an Indian lady who was old enough to be my mother. So that, for me, it wasn't even her fault, okay? It was me in my head, because I went to Indian schools, right? So for me, an Indian lady, older lady, is a figure of authority in my life. And I just wasn't as comfortable and as open and as I thought I was going to be. So my misconception was that I was just going to automatically be able to be that because I'm speaking to a professional. But in reality, not so much. I found myself thinking first, I'm like, oh, should I say this? And then when she asked me about dating, I was like, oh no, I'm not trying to talk about dating with you, So like, yeah, that was basically the one thing that I can think of that didn't go like I imagined it would, okay? Then, but like, I cried a lot, guys, let me tell you. The crying I did, like my first session, the whole time while I was talking, I was crying. I'm a mess. Some of the stuff that I learned from therapy. The first one is that life is hard. Living is hard. And sometimes it will feel like a battle. And that it's normal for it to feel like a battle. Everybody goes through this. So, when I was telling her about how sometimes I feel and how getting out of bed is such a challenge and kind of just getting myself out of the rut or, the dark place in my head sometimes is really tough. And then, I felt validated, and also it was kind of comforting to hear that it's normal, right? People go through this, it's normal. And then one thing that she told me was that I need to fight the brain. What the brain wants to do, I need to do the opposite. So what I told her is that how I usually deal is that I sleep. That's my thing. That's my thing. When the day feels too hard to face, I just opt with like going to sleep. Then she was like, okay, you need to find stuff. You need to find things that fill your cup and make you happy. Do those things. Where do you feel like sleeping? Fight it. And some of those things for me would be trying a new recipe, karaoke. Oh boy. There's nothing that lifts my spirit like karaoke. Going outside, believe it or not. I really do not like going outside. I don't like leaving the house. Even if it means going outside to the yard, I don't like doing that. But it makes me feel good to go outside. Like whenever I do push myself to go outside, I end up feeling a lot better rather than being stuck indoors. So it's like things like those, right? That I had to learn. Do I always do that? Do I always fight my brain? No, sometimes my brain wins, okay? And I'm just like, I'm sleeping, I don't care. But I always feel terrible afterwards. So I'm trying to get into the habit of doing the opposite of what my brain wants. This one was a huge one, right? Especially because it was also pertaining to the life crisis that I was facing. It was basically affection with my parents. What happened? I think we were talking about the L word. the love word. And I was like, yeah, no, we don't do that at home. We don't do that. We don't play like that. Like, yeah. I don't say I love you to my parents, especially not my mom. She doesn't say it, and that's just how we've always rolled. We don't touch, kiss, hug, cuddle. We only and we don't use mushy language. Okay, like I love you, I care for you. You just see my actions. Okay, you just know that there's love in the home. But we don't explicitly say it. And I remember saying this to her, and she was shocked. My therapist was shocked. I was like, ma'am, why are you shocked? You know, and then she was like, but why? And it's like, I don't know. It's just the culture. It's just how it is. We just don't say that. And then she was like, and then I was like, but weirdly enough, outside of family, I am the most affectionate person. I am the most affirming person with both my words and physically. I love to hold hands, touch, cuddle. I tell my friends, I love them. I use pet names like sweetheart and love when I speak to them. I'm the person, when I'm dating you, I will say I love you in the morning, and I'll say I love you at night, and I'll say I love you anytime during the day where I feel like I need to. I love expressing my love like that. You know, I'm very affectionate, except when it comes to my family. And then she was like, why is that? And I was like, it's just how it is at home. And then she was like, okay, so I understand that your parents don't express love that way, but why haven't you ever expressed it to them that way? And I was like, even the thought of that is very cringe, ma'am. Like, I'm cringing just thinking about being that affectionate with my parents. And then, you know, she asked me some further questions. I don't remember how the conversation got there, but we eventually got to a point where I was like, it feels like there's a drift between me and my parents since I've decided to take a break. At that time, I thought I was done with school forever because I was that traumatized, honey. I was like, I'm done with school. I'm never going back to school. Anyways, so it felt like there was a drift between my parents and I because of that. And I was like, because, you know, if you can imagine, you know, those movies where there's a child who loves baseball, and then there's the father who used to be the baseball player, you know, and then the father and the son, they bond over baseball, and then the son decides that he doesn't want to do baseball anymore, and then now the relationship is kind of shaky because what had always kept them together was the baseball. What had always created that quality time for them was the baseball. How they've always, you know, showed affection to one another was there by the field with the baseball. So that's how it felt for me. Like, school has always been a huge thing in my household, right? It's what most of my conversations with my mom are centered on, or my parents are centered on. Yeah, school, it's that thing. It was the glue, essentially. And you know, I was a pretty good student. I did really well, and as you can imagine, that generated a lot of affection from my parents' side, because I would see how happy and how proud of me they would be because of school. And it was that thing, you know, we had that rhythm with us, you know, and we would dream about how I would get this degree and then do that and then do that. And now that was taken away, because I was like, I'm done with school, very awkward, that thing. And I just felt like there was such a huge drift between my parents and I expressed that to my therapist. She challenged me, guys. Before that, when she asked me why I have never tried, I also realized that I, for some reason, didn't think to change the situation at home. For some reason, I was like, okay, that's how it was. We closed the door on that. That's how that's done. I'm just gonna try to be affectionate moving forward. Moving forward with like friendships and romantic relationships, I'm gonna be the most affectionate person ever. But at home, there's nothing we can do about that. I kind of had that mentality of there's nothing we could do about that, until she challenged me and she said, I challenge you to hug your mom when she gets back from work, and I challenge you to hug her and tell her that you love her. I was like, you what now? Me, a whole me, hug her, tell her. I was just like, let me tell you guys, I still have not gotten around doing that. It is April 2022 and I still have not done it. I don't know when I'm gonna be ready, okay guys? I'm thinking about it, okay? I don't know when I'm gonna be ready. One day. One day. Maybe. One of these evenings, right? When I was having a conversation, when we had Anate and her mother over, we had a conversation. I think Nana was even there on that day. We were all home, sitting around the table having dinner, and then we had a conversation. And I think, for the first time, not for the first time, right? Maybe it is. My mom kind of verbally expressed her love for me on behalf of my father as well. Their love and that they've got me and that they recognize that they recognize that this is a tough time and they understand that I am not intentionally bringing havoc onto the family, right? That conversation was, I think, she said everything that I needed to hear. Okay, for some reason when Anate and her mother are there's this beautiful safe space that the four of us created over the years, where we're able to be open where we're able to openly speak about any and everything. I tell you, she really expressed that, and my heart, for the first time since the break, I'm gonna need my voice to come back. Okay. My heart, for the first time since the break, was relieved that yes, things are awkward, but I have no reason to doubt where I stand in my parents' heart, and I have no reason to doubt that they love me. We'll find a new rhythm. We'll find ways to express our love and our affection for one another, even though that didn't necessarily happen in therapy. It was a therapeutic session. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you. I'm curious to know, have any of you guys ever been to therapy? What was that like? Do you want to go? Is that something you're considering? If so, just do it. Just go. If it's something that you're able to do and you have access to, just go, just do it. Also, just a reminder, right? I would love to start having live sessions based on the topics that I cover on my YouTube videos. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, please do comment down below or DM me, and we'll have a live. Tonight or tomorrow night, we'll have a live where we talk about all things therapy. And remember, this channel is about kindness, being kind to yourself and others.